Hello, UK instructors. So excited to talk to you about our brand new 2021 curriculum that was created by an international group of instructors, including Gemma Mullen and Sarah Palmer from the UK. So, why did we do this? We've had a Project Search curriculum since the program started in 1998. However, we've been getting a lot of feedback the last few years about how the curriculum needed to be more robust and how it needed to have a lot more direction, especially for our new instructors. As you know, we're starting new programs all the time, but we're also having new staff all the time. A new instructor at maybe a more seasoned program, or maybe an instructor that isn't even used to teaching young adults and maybe has been teaching smaller children for a long time. And so we took the opportunity of the pandemic to create a big amount of time and resources and devote it to creating this brand new 2021 employability skills curriculum. So we started with some study actually with a learning consultant at the University of Notre Dame in Indiana who has written books on learning and how the brain works and etc. And got some direction from her about what our curriculum should look like, what the lesson plans should look like, and even just the philosophy of why we need this really important curriculum. As you know, our whole goal in Project Search is to find the best job based on the internships and the skills that the students learn during the year, the best job that matches their strengths, their needs, their preferences, and their challenges. And the curriculum is designed to kind of marry those internships with the skills that they're going to need in order to not only gain a great job, but maintain that job. And so we feel so compelled to create a curriculum that helps those students gain those employability skills that marry up with the job skills that they learn at their internship site. So we started by just interviewing and finding instructors who were excited about being part of this curriculum work group. And we began with just kind of reaffirming the fact that our students need these really important employability skills. And then we embarked on, well, what are those employability skills that students need? And we came up with 9 big unit goals of things like team building and gaining employment, maintaining employment, financial literacy, communication skills. So all those kind of things that revolve around what do our interns need to navigate the waters of their host business and eventually their job. And so we agreed upon these 9 units, and then the instructors chose the unit that they wanted to work on the most. And we wanted their talents and their interests to mirror the same journey that our interns go on by looking at their strengths and their preferences and their needs and challenges as well. And so everybody kind of settled into their own units. We had some units with just 2 instructors and some units with 4 instructors, and they worked together to create objectives first. So we went through and we looked at what objectives that we needed in each unit. And most units have 5 or more objectives. And then we started working, and our next goal was to create a lesson plan format that we could all agree on. And that was somewhat of a challenge because we felt that if we were going to listen to the needs of these new teachers, that they needed lots of guidance and direction, then there needed to be a lot in the lesson plans. So we looked at some different lesson plan designs, and we chose one that we felt met our needs. And then we got permission to mess with that and align it with our own needs. And so we edited it and changed it and added and deleted to that that lesson plan design throughout really our whole year of creating this curriculum, down to the last month when we said, oh, let's move this or let's move that, let's make this more accessible for teachers. And then our wonderful Gemma from the UK even came up with a way to make it easier for teachers to use by just clicking on highlighted areas and going straight to different parts of the lesson plan. So every lesson plan has 4 essential parts: the pre-planning, the activities themselves, a reflection piece for intern and instructor, and then any appendices that they might need. So the lesson plans themselves involve and have things like how to create a safe space for students, how to think about the glossary that the students need, how to check for understanding what they will know and do, and how do you make sure that they know and do those objectives and those activities. And then kind of the best part of a lesson plan, every lesson plan has a minimum of 6 activities, one that revolves around the glossary and the other 5 that revolve around ways to teach that particular objective. So you've got 81 objectives, so 81 different lesson plans, each with 6 or more activities. So there is so much to pull from and take every day, every week, every objective. Please know that you don't have to teach every activity. You really don't even have to teach every objective. You need to look at your cohort of interns each year and decide what they need and what maybe you can kind of maybe gloss over or maybe even skip. And I think you also need to think about your host business and which objectives correlate with their vision, their values, their mission statement, etc. So look at your needs of your interns and the needs of your host business, marry those together, take a look at the course of study, and then figure out where your priorities are. The first unit is team building, and we would recommend that you do some of those activities the very first couple weeks in order to build your cohort and have them be able to work together. And from there, pick and choose the objectives and the lesson plans to meet the needs of your interns and your host business. One of the other things that we wove into the lessons that weren't there to begin with was critical thinking questions and critical thinking activities. And I always credit one of our host business liaisons in the state of Michigan. Many of you might have heard me tell this story before, but I was presenting to their hospital leadership. That means the president, the vice presidents, all of the executive leadership of this hospital in order for them to become a new project search site. And I asked our hopeful business liaison, the director of human resources, her name's Amanda, and I asked Amanda what she was looking for in an entry-level employee, hoping that she would give some attributes that spoke to our own project search interns. And so I was waiting for her to say things like, oh, I want somebody with a good attitude or somebody with good attendance. And what she said was really changed the course of my thinking about project search. What she said was, I need employees who can think critically and solve problems. And I took a pause because I didn't know if all of our interns could think critically and solve problems. And yet that's what employers want. And so I asked the curriculum work group if they would be willing to work in critical thinking skills and problem solving skills into every single lesson. And they said yes, thankfully. And we all kind of wrapped our head around how do we create the best critical thinking questions and activities that go along with every single objective. So one of my favorite parts of every single lesson is the critical thinking that comes at the end of the activities. So the activities start with glossary, then they go into the 5 or more activities, and they end with critical thinking questions and critical thinking activities. So think of them as extension activities. Think of them as a way to take that objective farther. Think of them as a way to build ways to think about that information that forces our interns to think more deeply about that particular objective or that particular skill that they are building. So don't overlook those. It's a way to take that lesson farther. It's a way to embed more deeper level thinking around that specific objective. So, two more things that I want to talk about when we think about the new curriculum. One is that there are two additional curricula that are built in, and I'm so excited because they are really kind of the rock stars of this curriculum. So, one is we partnered with a woman from New Hampshire who is a leading expert in sex education for young adults with disabilities. And however, we asked her to kind of think about not so much sex education, but relationships. So we asked Catherine McLaughlin from New Hampshire, who has her own business around teaching teachers and teaching young adults with developmental disabilities how to build healthy relationships. And so what we asked her to do was think about healthy relationships at work and how can our young interns come up with strategies and build skills around creating healthy relationships in the workplace. And so she created 12 lessons for us, complete with photos, handouts, PowerPoints, pre-tests, post-tests, all kinds of things that are going to help our students navigate that really difficult part of work, which is relationships, and not just how do I navigate my coworkers and my supervisors, mentors, managers, etc. But what if I want to create a friendship with somebody at work, and what does that look like, and what are the steps to doing that, and what's kind of on limits and what's off limits? What can I and can't I do at work with a friend versus just a coworker? So there's lessons about public versus private and levels of relationships and gender identity, and just it's very, very rich curricula, and so excited to have that as part of our curriculum. And you'll find that in the last unit on social and communication skills. And then the other curricula that we have is called Health Matters, which were developed by Beth Marks and some of her colleagues at the University of Illinois. Beth herself has a disability and created a whole curriculum around health. We know from the research that's out there that the healthier you are, the better you're going to be able to work, the longer you'll be able to work, the longer you work, the more healthy you are, and it goes in that upward cycle. So this book, Health Matters, we have taken a lot of those lessons and kind of project searchized those and created a way for them to be more meaningful in a project search environment. So check out that curricula as well. It is in the unit on health and wellness. I know that we're all concerned, not just employability skills, but academic skills as well. And so you'll find health and math throughout literacy and numeracy throughout this entire curriculum. Certainly the glossary is just one example of a way to build literacy into every single lesson. Two of our wonderful teachers, Jem is one of them, that worked really hard on the financial literacy piece. We actually have mirrored lessons, some of them for the US and the UK, just because there's so much difference in terms of dollars and pounds and ways that we work with our money. So that's going to be a really exciting unit as well, that the financial literacy piece. And one more resource that we have in the financial literacy piece is a US based virtual lessons from a company called Everfi, and they are granting us the access to many of their banking kinds of lessons. And so we're excited about that resource as well. So as you can see, not only does this curriculum have 9 units, 81 objectives, but it also has resources from a company like Everfi, and then 2 other wonderful women who created their own curricula based on healthy relationships and health matters. So dive in, use it, let us know how you like it. Use the PS Let's Chat on our member portal to tell us what works and what doesn't. Join our team. We have phase 3 coming up, where we're going to look at a pre-project search curriculum and the scope and sequence to this curriculum. And we are so excited to launch it, have you use it, have you give us feedback, and watch your interns grow in the employability skills that they need to be sufficient at project search and in their new jobs.